If you bought a multi-year guaranteed annuity or MYGA in 2022 or 2023, you probably bought it at 4.5 or 5%, guaranteed for a defined period. There is a date on that contract that ends the guarantee period. Most people don't know when that date is. The carrier does. And in the 30 days around that date, decisions get made that determine what the next several years of your contract look like. This conversation comes up all the time. Pre-retirees and retirees who had cash sitting around in 2022 or 2023, watching CD rates climb, looking for a higher rate with no market risk. MYGA gave them that. 5 years, 4.5%. Tax deferred, no fees. The pitch was clean. The pitch was also incomplete. So how were they sold on this? You'll get 4.5% guaranteed for 5 years. Better than a CD, no fees, no market risk, and it's tax deferred while it grows. Every part of that sentence is true for the first 5 years. What happens in the 6th year is a different sentence, and that sentence didn't always get said out loud. So there's 3 things that make this broken. First, the headline rate is a marketing rate. It's not the lifetime rate. The 4.5% is for the guaranteed period only. At the end of the guarantee period, the rate resets. The new rate is declared by the carrier based on the rate environment at that time, with a contractual minimum floor that's typically only 1 to 2%. If interest rates have come down by then, which typically happens, but it's not always the case, the renewal rate may be far lower than the rate you signed for. You're still in the contract, however. You're just earning a different number now. Second, the renewal window is very short. The default is just to roll it over. Most MYGAs give you a window, typically 30 days at the end of the guarantee period, for you to take action. You can renew at the new declared rate, 1035 exchange to a different annuity, or you can surrender it if you can absorb any remaining charges. If you do nothing during that window, the contract rolls into a new renewal period at the new declared rate, and in some designs, a fresh surrender schedule begins on the day of renewal. That's the part that should make you stop reading. You bought what you thought was a 5-year product. Without action, at the right moment, you now own a 10 or a 12-year product with a 5-year good rate. Third, the tax-deferred framing is doing less work than the pitch implied. MYGAs grow tax-deferred. Distributions are taxed as ordinary income when you take them. For a retiree in a moderate to high bracket, ordinary income treatment isn't always meaningful better than a taxable instrument with after-tax compounding. I'm not telling you a MYGA is wrong. I'm telling you the tax-deferred line was probably oversold to justify the headline rate. Run the math at your actual tax bracket and see what the tax wrapper is really worth to you. So what should a MYGA have looked like? A clean MYGA sale walks through 3 things at the kitchen table. First, the end date of the guarantee period is on the calendar, not in years from now, the actual date, written on the contract summary and on a sticky note for the fridge. Second, the minimum guaranteed renewal rate. You need to know that number, so when you sign, you know what your downside is. Knowing the floor changes the conversation. Third, a pre-built plan for the renewal window. Mark the date, set a reminder 90 days before, decide in advance what triggers a renewal, what triggers a 1035 to a better deal, and what triggers a surrender. The decision shouldn't be made under a 30-day deadline with no preparation. And one more thing, depending on the buyer, if the goal is simply principal protection with a higher rate than the bank was paying, there are sometimes other tools that serve the same goal with more transparency. CD ladders, treasury ladders, different vehicle, similar protection, different mechanics. The MYGA isn't wrong, but the MYGA isn't the only answer either. How can you tell if your MYGA has a problem? There's 5 checks, 20 minutes with your MYGA contract. Here's what we're going to do. Find the start date of the guarantee period. Add the guarantee length. That's your renewal date. Write it down. Second, we're going to find the minimum guaranteed renewal rate in your contract. Note that number. Next, you're going to find the renewal window length, usually 30 days. Some carriers do differ, however. Next, we're going to check whether the surrender schedule resets at renewal. If that's true, your effective surrender period is longer than your guarantee period. Last, we're going to compare your minimum renewal rate to current market MYGA rates. If your floor is 1.5% and your current market rate is 4%, you have a renewal window conversation worth preparing for in advance. So here's what the MYGA review looks like for my clients. If you own a MYGA or you're thinking about buying one, DM me the word renewal and I'll send you the annuity guide in plain English. It walks through the renewal mechanics, the minimum rate floor, the renewal window, and the questions to ask the carrier directly. The guide is free. There's no follow-up unless you ask for one. Most of what I do is at this stage is help people read what they already own in plain English. Truth early is cheaper than stress late. That's a different conversation, and it starts with you knowing the date.